Tonight, the island recorded 10 new COVID-19 fatalities yesterday, increasing the total of deaths from the virus to 692, while 130 new cases were recorded. The measures restricting movements in the effort to reduce the spread of the coronavirus that expired yesterday will continue for 3 additional weekends ending May 4, but with some easing of the restrictions.
The weekend lockdowns will be modified for the next 3 weekends. The curfew will begin at 4 p.m. on Saturdays and 2 p.m. on Sundays and end at 5 a.m. the next morning.
Still tonight, Kingston Western Division lists wanted men, and State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Robert Morgan, is appealing to Jamaicans to recommit their energies, talents and intellectual abilities towards protecting children.
The issue of violence against children. This is not just related to corporal punishment, which persons like myself, the Prime Minister, and many other well-thinking Jamaicans continue to condemn and encourage the banning of, not just within the government service, which we have, but seek to ban it nationally and remove it from our culture as a means of discipline.
Good evening. Jamaica recorded 10 new COVID-19 fatalities yesterday, increasing the total of deaths now from the virus to 692. The deceased are a 73-year-old female from Manchester, 4 females from Kingston and St. Andrew aged 16, 71, 77 and 98 years, 3 males from Kingston and St. Andrew aged 65, 68 and 70, an 81-year-old male from St. Catherine and a 66-year-old female from St. Catherine as well. 1 more fatality is currently under investigation. Meanwhile, there were 130 new cases ranging in age from 1 to 94 years, taking the total of cases now to 43,054, of which 22,809 are active. Of the new cases, 70 are female and 60 are males. Kingston and St. Andrew dominates the new cases with 53 cases recorded, followed by St. Catherine with 17 cases, and then St. James with 16. In the meantime, there were 112 additional recoveries, increasing the total of recovered persons now to 19,248. Still making the news tonight, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that the weekend curfews imposed as part of measures to reduce the spread of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 will be extended, but the hours will be modified.
The data clearly shows that the tighter measures that were implemented 3 weeks ago have been successful in slowing down the spread of the virus. However, our test positivity rate and our hospitalizations remain too high. As a result, Madam Speaker, the measures implemented 3 weeks ago will be extended for another 3-week period until May 4th, 2021, with the following changes. The weekend lockdowns will be modified for the next 3 weekends. The curfew will begin at 4 p.m. on Saturdays and 2 p.m. on Sundays and end at 5 a.m. the next morning. Let me just repeat that. The weekend lockdowns will be modified, so they're not technically lockdowns anymore, they're just tighter curfew hours. Will be modified for the next 3 weekends. The curfew will begin at 4 p.m. on Saturdays and 2 p.m. on Sundays and end at 5 a.m. the next morning. So for Saturday, April 17th, Sunday, April 18th, Saturday, April the 24th, Sunday, April 25th, and Saturday, May 1, and Sunday, May 2. Those weekends will have the 4 p.m. curfew for Saturday and 2 p.m. for Sunday, ending 5 a.m. the following morning.
Speaking in the House of Representatives yesterday, Mr. Holness also informed that the curfew hours for weekdays, Mondays to Fridays, will begin at 8 p.m. and end at 5 a.m., and that all the other measures remain largely unchanged until May 4, 2021.
The curfew hours for weekdays for the next 3 weeks, Monday to Friday, will remain at 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Ending, of course, 5 a.m. the following morning until 5 a.m. on May 5th, 2021. We are not going to be closing half day on the Friday, so that no longer obtains. All the other measures remain largely unchanged until May 4th, 2021. Madam Speaker, let me, however, quickly go through some of the measures, noting changes where applicable. The control entry protocols. The existing protocols, including the requirement for all travelers to present a negative COVID-19 test conducted within 3 days of travel, remains in place, as does the requirement to self-quarantine for 14 days after arrival. Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize that even though incoming travelers would have presented a negative COVID-19 test, they are still required to quarantine. The 14-day quarantine requirement applies even for persons who have been vaccinated. We are going to be reviewing this as more scientific data becomes available about the risk of vaccinated persons transmitting the virus to persons who have not been vaccinated.
Also, the United Kingdom travel ban will continue until April 30, 2021, when it will expire, and it is not expected to be renewed. Additionally, the travel bans for Brazil, Chile, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, and Paraguay have been extended until May 4, 2021. The existing work-from-home order has also been extended until May 4, 2021. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, while speaking in the House of Representatives, also pointed out that there are those with influence in our society that peddle unreasonable and irrational ideas that may be misleading to unsuspecting persons, which is dangerous to our democracy.
All Jamaicans who recognize their civic duty and their personal responsibility to follow the measures, I want to commend them and urge them to continue. At the heart of the democracy, Madam Speaker, it is not the agility of the police force to stop every dance and prosecute everyone who is not wearing a mask. At the heart of the democracy is the reasonable and rational man and woman. And what the pandemic has shown up is we have amongst us persons who peddle unreasonable and irrational ideas. Persons who have a microphone in front of them, some of them who are very influential, who should know better, who have peddled ideas that unsuspecting persons may be misled with. And that is dangerous to our democracy. Madam Speaker, we do not attempt in any way to prevent the free expression of thought. As a citizen of this country, I stand here and defend that. But as a citizen of this country, I also must stand here and defend the full exposition of reasonable and rational positions and ensure that those positions are properly, carefully, and extensively articulated in this country.
Mr. Holness also had a message for those in the media that he said are pushing a class war.
For too long, Madam Speaker, we have allowed our country to be misled by persons who claim to hold the mantle of reasonableness in the country. And what has happened is that they have misled, in particular, the poor. For those persons who are pushing in all forms of media a class war, a social war, the anti-vaccination war. If you get ill today, you go to one of them and tell them, pay the doctor bill for me. You can't find any of them because they push their ideas in anonymity. We are a free country, and everyone is free to express their thoughts, even if it is unreasonable, as long as it is not pushing sedition or libelous. But we also have a duty in this parliament, government and opposition, to speak the truth, to defend reason, and to ensure that those among us who may not have access to information or able to contextualize the information, we have to stand in defense of those people.
On his part, opposition leader Mark Golding explained that the lockdown measures are impacting the less fortunate in society the most.
You repeatedly alluded to a feeling, I think, that you are being unfairly criticized, perhaps, for appearing to be insufficiently caring of the small man. The narrative out there is dividing the society, and that should be avoided, and so on. But the truth is, Prime Minister, that the way in which the measures, the lockdown measures in particular, impacts different sectors of the society, different communities within the society, is not the same across the board. For those of us who have good stocks of food, have reserves, financial reserves that we can rely on, savings, and so on, we can ride it through. But for many, many Jamaicans, that is not the case. They live day to day, and a lot of people hustle to survive. And the lockdowns have a real negative impact on their ability to earn income. Not only are people confronted with the economic downturn, but that is exacerbated, that is made worse by the impact of successive weekends of lockdowns on those persons who are accustomed to being able to move around and do whatever it is they do to earn a bread. So, Prime Minister, if we're going to continue with this policy of lockdowns in order to try and fight this pandemic, I'd ask for two things. First of all, a real acute analysis showing to what extent it is working or not. And secondly, for the adequate measures to be put in place during the lockdown period to allow people, those who are most vulnerable, to survive.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he is very proud of how Jamaicans have responded to the vaccination program.
The vaccination program and the discipline that the citizen has displayed, I have not had any reports of disorderly and rowdy behavior. What it shows is that if anything is to be distributed and people have confidence that the distribution will be fair and transparent, Jamaican people, like any other people in any other culture, will stand in line and wait their turn. I'm so proud of how we have responded.
The Prime Minister also called on the countries that have large supplies of vaccines to release a portion of their stocks to other countries.
The government continues to pursue all avenues, bilateral, multilateral, as well as commercial arrangements with suppliers to obtain further supplies of vaccines. As an example, the African Medical Supplies Platform has finalized a contract with Johnson & Johnson, and the CARICOM member states are included in that, and we continue to work closely with them to finalize these arrangements. Madam Speaker, Jamaica has shown that we have the capacity to mobilize mass vaccination campaigns over a very short time frame. We are therefore calling on the countries that maintain large supplies of vaccines to release a portion of their stock to other countries. And Madam Speaker, we're not asking for them to give us. I think that if countries that hold stocks to the point of their expiration, it would be the greatest tragedy to humanity. It would be a travesty for countries to hold stocks until their expiration. That would be a travesty to mankind.
Opposition leader Mark Golding echoed the same sentiment as the Prime Minister.
I want to join with you in expressing our gratitude as parliamentarians for the superlative efforts made by our health professionals and other professionals who have supported them over the past weekend and extended, and of course for months, but in particular, given what happened over the last few days, many of them really had to pull out all the stops to ensure some amount of order and discipline in the process of vaccination at the various centers, and we are grateful to them for that. I also want to join with you in your remarks in relation to those countries, wealthier countries, that have either surplus stocks of vaccine beyond their needs or expiring stocks of vaccine. It is indeed the heights of unfairness and inimical to man's duty to man within the family of mankind for any country to hang on to surplus stocks or expiring stocks when there are other countries that are prepared to borrow them and use them and return them in due course at no cost to the country making the loan of the vaccines. And this is an issue that doesn't just impact us here in Jamaica. It impacts many countries across the world, so-called developing countries and so on. So, Prime Minister, I would just urge you to continue with that advocacy, because I think it's tremendously important that that voice be heard on the world stage.
We go to news from the capital now, as the Denham Town Police have listed 12 persons as wanted following ongoing investigations in the division. They are Shane Williams, otherwise called Teddy; Rashawn Samuels, otherwise called Son; Dwayne Grant, otherwise called Billy; Shavan Pine; and men known only as Elijah, Saddam, Whittingham, Lolo, Koala, Blue, Bad to the Bone, and Gaza Man. The listed persons were asked to report to the Denham Town Criminal Investigations Branch, CIB, by today. Now, the men listed or anyone with information regarding their whereabouts are being asked to contact the Denham Town Police Station at 876-285-1964 or 876-922-6441, Crime Stop at 311, Police Emergency 119, or the nearest police station. Meanwhile, citizens are being reminded that it is a criminal offense to harbor or create a safe haven for criminals. Still in news from the capital, the Elliston Road Criminal Investigation Branch, CIB, is seeking the public's assistance to verify the body of 56-year-old Dane Anthony Phillips, auto painter, who was found dead in Vineyard Town, Kingston 3 on March 23. Now, reports coming into our news center tonight are that residents stumbled upon the body and summoned the police. Upon the arrival of the lawmen, the body was taken to the hospital where death was confirmed. Phillips's family members or anyone with information that can assist in locating his family members are being asked to contact the Elliston Road Police at 876-926-2551, Police Emergency 119, or the nearest police station. In other news tonight, 63-year-old Peter Kitchener of Clarkstown, Trelawney, has been missing since December 17 last year. He is of brown complexion, medium build, and approximately 6 feet 2 inches tall. Reports from the Clarkstown Police coming into our news center are that Mr. Kitchener was last seen at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, wearing a blue sweatsuit and a pair of white sneakers. He has not been seen since. Anyone knowing Mr. Kitchener's whereabouts is being asked to contact the Clarkstown Police at 876-954-1080, Police Emergency 119, or the nearest police station. Continuing with the news tonight, an Ananda alert has been activated for 17-year-old Omisha Copeland of Bamboo River, Morant Bay, who has been missing since April 6. She is of brown complexion, slim build, and is approximately 5 feet 3 inches tall. Reports from the Spanish Town Police coming into our news center are that Omisha was last seen leaving home at approximately 9:15 a.m., dressed in a black blouse, blue, white, and peach shorts, and a pair of pink Crocs. She has not been heard from since. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Omisha Copeland is being asked to contact the Morant Bay Police at 876-982-2233, Police Emergency 119, or the nearest police station. The St. James Police seized a rifle and several rounds of ammunition during an operation on Dapper Lane in the parish yesterday. Reports coming into our news center are that at approximately 3:17 p.m., a police team was on an operation in the area when a premises was searched and the Springfield rifle and a magazine containing 5.56 cartridges were found and seized. No one was arrested in connection with the seizure. Investigations into the find are ongoing. And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with other stories as State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Robert Morgan, is appealing to Jamaicans to recommit their energies, talents, and intellectual abilities towards protecting children. And local government minister announces structure of support for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But first, we'll take a break and then we'll join Christopher Scott with the very latest in sports.